Everyone is ready. So, are we ready?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
Hi. Well, first of all, I'm going to start by introducing myself. So, I'm Jackie Shelley. I'm one of the two hosts of Jackie and Irvin Are Accidentally in Charge, which is our crazy podcast. And you are?
I'm Phil Gerbyshak, and I'm accidentally, positively on purpose, your guest.
I was just looking at your stuff in preparation, and you actually list yourself on your LinkedIn page as a podcast guest. Like please, I will do it. Be entertaining. And I was like, wow, I didn't even see that before I invited you, but it just made me really happy.
Yay! Well, I'm glad. I like to
But
be a
yeah.
guest.
And I didn't realize you had your own podcast as well. Like I've been looking at all your materials, and I'm going, you generate quite a bit of content, I have to say. I was like kind of flipping back and forth between everything. But I think I'm most familiar recently with your Substack essays. Like that's where I'm seeing a lot of it's what happiness.
The happiness practices.
Yeah. And probably going to make me yell more about Buddhism because like that's been a running theme on the podcast so far is Jackie's yelling about Buddhism. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm not even sure how we got connected, Phil. Like I've been seeing you pop up in my feed for a very long time through various channels.
I don't think it matters, right?
Mutual overlapping social maps, but I do know that we both make an excellent fish face. That's what I recall. Yes, see? There you go.
There you go. Or the
with the fins is even better.
Whatever you need, just for yourself.
I think you've practiced these. It looks like
I'm a school teacher, of course.
Oh, that's right. Where are you teaching now?
I teach high school in Coleraine, Ohio.
And it's computer science?
Yeah, well, it's computer science, game design, web design.
Oh God, my son would lose his mind.
Yeah, object programming, all sorts of stuff.
That's fantastic. And how long have you been doing that?
First year. I got 29 days left in my first year.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was your first time through.
Sure is.
That's fabulous. Wow. Well, like I said, you do quite a few different things. You know, I know you've published books, you've done a lot of speaking, various topics. I think it seems like a lot of your content is about sales. Is that correct?
It used to be. Yeah, I transitioned now to just talk about happiness, though.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. Yeah, the sales stuff has kind of fallen off, though I still get occasionally people will say, hey, would you come and talk on my podcast? I'm like, well, I don't really do this anymore, but if you'd like me to, I can.
Can you combine the two things, like sales and happiness, in some effective way? Or
I think that it is about, if you're good at sales, you better be happy because it's hard. It's a lot of work, so you have to work on yourself.
That's what So one of the first books I read when I was young and got into personal development type read is, of course, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and
Classic.
It is the book that I talk a little bit on my show about my growing understanding of my own neurodivergence, and at the time I had no idea, so I just knew I didn't know how to deal with people. And then along came this book that just had this incredible roadmap for how to interact with other people, but part of that was that like smiling at people and asking them about themselves, and like it's built into that whole framework. So I feel like that's been woven into sales stuff for a really long time.
Sure. Absolutely. I would say How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably one of the first sales books that isn't about sales at all, but it's all about sales.
Although I don't think I ever graduated to the influence people part.
So, I just on your show. Yes.
Well, now maybe that's this phase, but I'm thinking about like how long I've been working with the material from that book, and I feel like I'm still like learning how to put it into practice.
Same, right? I read it probably 30 years ago. Same for me. It is absolutely something that I'm still practicing. I would say happiness, same way. I think life is a practice. Life is not it's practice. You got to get better. You got to do it a lot, like you do law, or you have to practice medicine. Same way.
That's something I do really believe in. In our most recent episode was like an hour-long argument between me and Irvin. Very loving, very playful argument, but about the concept of skill versus talent. So
Oh
like skill being something that you've like worked toward and built up, and talent being often used as shorthand for like you were just born with it and you're just like gifted talent or something.
yeah,
And but the hard work part of it, I think, is really important to me, in practice is that,
yeah.
right? Like, if you're going to learn to juggle, like you don't just wake up being born knowing how to juggle chainsaws. Like that doesn't
Right.
just like,
Most people anyway. I'm sure there's 2 people out there.
someone's going to prove me wrong. Maybe like that one was born just playing chainsaws right out of
he's only got one
mouth.
arm, but he's really good with chainsaws.
Someone somewhere probably is and has made a whole like
cottage industry out of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's always one, and I'll probably find them and interview them for the podcast, because
Sweet.
That's the type of thing that it is. So, but yeah, so how did you change over from sales to happiness, or why, or what led you that direction?
Well, I started out, my first book was called 10 Ways to Make It Great, which was 10 things you can do to make your life better. Not stuff that I was actually doing, but stuff that actually I thought sounded good based on what I'd read, based on my own personal research and my own experience. So 10 Ways to Make It Great was my first book. I wrote that in 2006.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, a long time ago. Self-published it, which in internet years is like 300 years, right?
Yeah.
So, years ago, back when Amazon was not in the self-publishing game. That's how long ago it was.
Did they still sell books? Oh wait, they still sell books.
They were mostly selling books.
Yeah.
They were mostly a bookstore. Anyway, so I did that. And that was kind of about happiness, but not really. I talked a little bit about gratitude, and then I shifted into sales, and I did sales for a long time because I did sales enablement, I did sales training. I was in sales, all those sales type things, and I connected to everybody who's ever been in sales, so I could learn from them and they could learn from me. So I did that for a long time, and then I decided I was going to write about gratitude, Jackie.
Another running theme of the podcast. Yes.
Yep. But there isn't enough to talk about with just gratitude. Gratitude is something you can write about maybe 20 times, and then you're like, okay, well, I get it. I'm tired of that, or at least I got it anyway. So I decided, how can I expand that? What's the outcome of gratitude? And it's happiness. So I was wondering, is there anything that's adjacent to gratitude that I can write about? And I found out there's a whole science of happiness.
Oh yeah.
Which is really cool. So I've been studying the science of happiness for about 2 or 3 years now, pretty intensely. I read probably 50 to 100 articles a week on it. I have a Google alert set up. I don't always click into the Google alert, but I see what the headlines are pretty much every day. And so I read, and then I read Substacks, and I read other stuff that's all about.
And you tell a lot of really fantastic dad jokes.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to hear one?
Oh, please.
All right.
They're a favorite.
Why can't you trust atoms?
Why can't you? Why?
You can't trust atoms because they make up everything.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. My kid used to do this to me all day long. He went through a phase.
Yep. I
love it. I think everyone should stay in that phase. That is my favorite phase, is to, I don't know. I recently came out as a comedian. I don't know about you, how long you've known this about yourself, but like, this is a recent realization. And, I updated my LinkedIn and everything to say that I'm a giraffe accomplice, because it's based on a meme someone sent me. And I just went on a tear. And then I started telling people that I'd realized I was a comedian. But they didn't, like, their first question is, "Are you serious?"
No, I'm funny. I'm
really
serious.
Well, I guess I'm on the right track, but
that's right.
I am actually serious about being funny. So anyway, no, but I think like the more childish humor kind of gets discouraged when you hit adulthood.
Yep.
And some of the recent conversations I've been having with podcast guests, I just interviewed someone who played catch every day for a year, like
Cool.
baseball, and we were talking about the importance of play, right? And I feel like a lot of times as adults we're discouraged from being childish because it's thought like, oh, you're not responsible, or you're not, I don't know what, like serious, right? Like serious is upheld as like a value. And it's not that we just want to like throw responsibility to the wind, but like, there's nothing wrong with childish humor or
Well, I
silly
think it's
things,
childlike, not childish.
Childlike. Yeah, okay. What do you think the difference is between childish and childlike?
Well, childish is acting like a child.
Okay.
Childlike means you're acting with some of the behaviors of a child, and you have that kind of childlike wonder. So it's a way of looking at the world, in my opinion. I think that's the difference. I don't know. Jason Kotecki has Escape Adulthood.
Okay.
EscapeAdulthood.com, and he talks about finding the wit and whimsy about and the childlike wonder in all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about unleashing that. So I would look to Jason as an expert on childlike versus childish.
I'll have to look at that. Yeah. Because that's an interesting distinction. I feel like what I most often hear is sort of a variation of you're being childish, right? When you're doing something playful, and that's frowned on. But I hadn't thought about the other side of like that being childlike, but you're still an adult, right? So yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not trying to pretend to you're not trying to pretend to be a kid. You're just doing some of the fun things that kids do.
I'm not sure they're different.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to think about that one.
Yeah,
because I'm like, but I guess, like, I can see what's wrong with being childish all the time, right? Because the being childish in the negative way is like not being responsible, right? Like not doing the things that, like the hard work that needs to be done, or I don't know. I don't
the opposite of adult
fumbling for it.
The opposite of adulthood.
Right, because adulting is like paying your taxes and voting, and it's stuff we almost like, it's stuff we don't want to do, but we recognize the importance of, maybe like going to get a medical exam or something, and children usually like resist that stuff really strongly because it's not something they want, right? So then when you're saying like don't be childish, you're saying like, don't resist the things that are not fun but they're important,
right?
So I can see that distinction, but then I feel like the childlike is getting thrown out with it too often,
Yeah, I agree with that, though. I do think that a lot of times we throw out play. I mean, Gary Ware wrote a whole book about play. Gary's a genius at play as well. Another smart guy.
I feel like I'm just going to have to get a whole list of these afterwards.
Well, that's why you're sharing them. Hopefully people will look at them, and maybe you will too.
Actually, I really should start a bibliography for the podcast, because we definitely have referenced a lot of these works that are related, or people that are doing work that's related. So that's actually a really good idea, and I'll try to put that together. But yeah, so a lot of the people I've had on kind of cover these same topics, a lot of the recurring themes, right? Like we already talked about gratitude briefly. I don't know if you know AJ Jacobs, but he was a guest on the show and he wrote a whole book about gratitude called Thanks 1,000, where he thanked everyone involved in making his morning cup of coffee. So he actually like went all the way down the chain, like the people that grew the beans and everything, like, That's why I thought it was really funny when you said, when you have gratitude, if there's not enough to write about, I was like, I know someone who found more to say.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, so gratitude, kindness, we had Tom and John from Drop Dead Generous, and now like we have the happiness with your is it Happiness AF, right?
Yep.
And I feel like there's an overwhelming feeling for me that I'm looking for these people that are doing the positive work, they're harnessing technology in these ways to spread this kind of stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I interrupted your backstory. So you were telling me how you got to happiness and what led you there. So how did you get there?
Well, and then I just decided that happiness was the natural extension, the output, if you will, of gratitude. So Dan Pink wrote today, he wrote about the 2G method. Be Practice gratitude and be generous. And
Mm-hmm.
then they just are self-referral, right? They refer to each other. If they're like a virtuous cycle. If you're
So
grateful people,
gratitude.
and
Okay.
generosity drives gratitude. So grateful
Oh,
people, right? It goes over and over again. So I'm actually working on an article with my thoughts on that, because I thought that was very interesting. The simplest way to get happy is practice generosity and practice gratitude over and over again.
that's actually really, really powerful. I can see the way those two things kind of go back and forth,
Yep.
right? Like, and you know, right now I feel like that's more important than ever.
Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah, with
yeah.
all this crazy
Hmm.
stuff that's happening in the world, I
Hmm.
think so.
Yeah.
I
So
think for
how
sure.
do you, I mean, do you do any of this work with your students, or is it a separate thing, like your work
It's mostly
outside of the
separate because
classroom?
I'm
Hmm.
trying to really uh, grab my arms around the content
Hmm.
because it's my first year. But I think eventually I will move it into more good stuff with my students.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see it's not like you take it and bring it in because the class is about computer science and that kind of thing. But I'm interested in the way you're fitting these different things together, right? Because
Yep.
you're teaching. What made you decide to go back to teaching in the first place?
Um. Well, I was really in a spot where I decided that I wanted to go back and try it at least. So I substituted for a year and a half, and while substituting, I got
Oh, I think I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So while I was substituting, I got a 6 month or 3 month gig in an IT program, and they're like, "Hey, we got an IT program opening up in Coleraine." I'm like, "What's a Coleraine?" So I didn't know what it was. I had no idea where it was. Turned out to be 15 minutes from where I live. So I'm like, "Sure, I'll give it a try." And so I interviewed for the job, and I got the job. And so I said yes.
Interesting.
Really how my life works, though. I I I try something. If I like it, I do more of it. If I do more of it and I do it well, which isn't everything, by the way, but if I do it well, then
Oh,
they
yeah,
ask me
this
to
is a
do it.
familiar process. Hmm.
Yeah, then they ask me to do it full time.
Well,
So I
that's
mean,
fabulous.
yeah. So I've got some things like that. So it's pretty cool.
So you're going to continue with that then?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't even know where to go from there. Like, well, okay, tell me about the Buddhism thing because I do notice that that's a theme in some of these recent pieces. Is this something you're also studying or
I'm
learning
exploring it.
about?
I would say I'm experimenting and exploring. I'm not yet to the study point.
Hmm.
I haven't read any books. Well, I read one book, I guess, but I'm not reading a lot of books on it. But I am doing a little bit of exploration to see how
Okay.
it relates to happiness. But I think Buddhism is it's a practice,
Hmm.
right? It's not a
There's
religion.
that word again.
Yep. Right. Yeah. So it's a practice. So I like it.
So it's more about like finding these tools kind of or the ideas like the gratitude and the generosity and then sharing the tools that help
Mhm.
people to do those things.
And to slow down to the speed of life and to really be happy. Because a lot of times the reason that we're not happy is because we're busy rushing around and being silly. So my next book is going to be called Slow Happiness. All
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, and I'm very guilty of that for absolutely sure. I'm a bit of a rusher.
same, same. So
I
I'm
feel
working
like,
on
yeah, we're all kind of being squeezed into that with all the pressures that we're under, right? Like,
yeah, I think so.
because there's sort of a sense of you can't keep up with it all anymore. There's so much
And maybe we never could, but we just thought we could.
com- thing this morning. and it was a minute.
Yep, just for a second. That's okay. So
Okay,
you,
good. Well,
yeah.
hopefully it's, not going to break the recording. But yeah, I was wondering, when was the last time I handwrote a letter? I actually can't remember the last time I can remember mailing a card or something,
Yeah,
but
I need to write thank you notes. That's probably the best letter that I write.
yeah. And I think there is something different about that way of doing things, when you're talking about slow happiness, like taking the time to sit down and physically write something is very different than just throwing out an email or, and but it was the fact that it had happened invisibly to me, like the way the world sort of changes around you and you don't, notice when it's same thing when I was in the library and they had payphones and I thought like, oh, I remember a world where there were payphones and now I haven't seen one in so long. I had to stop and take a picture of it.
Yeah,
But it's like the world kind of changes around you and then at some point you're like, when is the last time I wrote a letter? So
yeah, that's a good question. When is the last time we wrote a letter? I got to think about that, and then I need to write a letter. Doesn't matter how long ago it's been. It's been too long, so I should get to writing a letter. That's a good point.
I think it'll be a fun thing to do probably following this is choose someone and send a letter, especially if they're not expecting it. I think
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
all the more delightful.
Yeah, I got to make sure that I have their address though. That's the big challenge because now I have their cell number, but I don't have their home address. Because even if I do know where they live, either I have it memorized or maybe it's in my contacts. But a lot of times, because we don't send letters, don't visit in person, we don't have their home address.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have a lot of people that have come from social media or online connections, and I think I've, been to their home or like know where they live kind of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, it'd be interesting to maybe reach out to somebody in that category and write letters. So yeah, I don't know, but same thing with a lot of, when you think of the word slow, I think I connect it with a lot of things like cooking or like old craftsmanship where there's like time and attention to detail and,
quality.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think letter writing connects with that too.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
So
Well, we have to think about what we write because there's no backspace. So we have to be more intentional when we write.
that's true. That's true.
We
Yeah,
have to
especially
slow these
now.
down. I think that's one of the reasons why younger people don't do as well when they write papers because they don't write letters anymore to grandma and grandpa.
hmm Yeah, well, I'm not sure they handwrite much at all. Like
Right,
it's not. I know a lot of children now don't know how to write in cursive, and there's
right,
actually a thing where they're having trouble finding enough people that can read cursive to translate the older documents
right.
into or digitize them or whatever. The people can't read them because they weren't taught to write in cursive, and so there's going to be a point where they're unreadable by modern people, because of that. So yeah, I don't think they write by hand very much.
No,
Although I don't know. Yeah,
no, my kids don't. They do almost exclusively on the computer.
yeah. It's just all these generational shifts. Wonder what our grandparents said about us.
Yep, for
They're
sure.
like, they don't ride horses anymore. They don't know about taking care of the animals. Like, probably, I don't know. Yeah, which reminds me something I was going to ask you about. You posted recently that you went to visit your dad, and you posted a picture of yourself with a coffee cup that's like an older cup. And so I was curious the story of that. Like, what's the story of that mug?
So when I was in the military in 1995, I was stationed in Seoul, Korea, and we got a cup from the Korean emissary, whatever, nice people that were happy to have us there. And they gave us a cup, and I brought it home and I gave it to my dad. And unbeknownst to me, my dad has kept that cup for 31 years. And it's one of his favorite. It must be one of his favorites because it's out front. So either that or it's his second favorite, and he only uses his first one. I don't know.
And you didn't know that he still had it.
Right, and I didn't know that he still had it.
That's really fun.
Yeah,
Did it bring back the memories of like buying it for him and
Yeah, well, I didn't buy it. They gave it
Oh,
away.
they gave it to you. They gave it to you.
They gave it to us, and but yeah, it totally did. And then I don't remember ever even giving it to him. So it's pretty wild.
That's fun. Yeah, and it sounds like you finally took some time off too, which is
Yeah, I took a
fantastic.
whole week. Took a whole week off. It was wonderful. I
I
got
don't know. You've got me thinking about slowing down and how much I haven't recently. So you're giving me some food for thought, definitely, slow happiness. Yeah, it almost feels like part of why we're not happy is the rushing. Like it's hard to be happy when you're like just moving so frenetically all the time. So
yeah, I agree.
mhm.
Very much so.
So a lot of these ideas you take and then you share with other people so that they can like put them into practice for themselves.
Yeah, that's why I write. I write to share. I'm not writing to make $1 million or to sell 1 million books. I'm writing to hopefully offer some opportunity for people to practice something that maybe they know how to do, but they've long forgotten, like writing a letter.
Yeah. Well, that's fabulous.
Thank you. I think so. I'm pretty excited.
I don't know. Your posts bring me a lot of joy. Like just they stand out as different somehow. Like they're always like uplifting
Thank
is
you.
the word that comes to mind, and there's just I don't know. There's been a lot of shifts in social over the years since I, first got onto the internet and was kind of a different world when I first landed there, probably like 90s. And what I'm seeing now is just this like onslaught of like commercialism and like algorithmically driven content that is kind of I can't find words for it. I mean, the word that comes to mind is dark, but it's not quite the right word. And then there's like the people that are um, doing things that are more genuine somehow, and when you see the two pieces like side by side in the same feed, there's just a real like recognition of whatever that difference is, right? Where it's like something that, um, like going on Facebook and I have a friend that their mom just passed away, and you go on there and you see that post and it's like it's a real thing, it's someone's real life and it's about someone I know and care about. And that's what social was when I first was there, and I feel like too often now it's something else. And so I just appreciate that the content that you make has that quality of being
Beautiful.
something real. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's my goal. I just write from my heart. I my Instagram stories aren't really stories, they're just stuff that touch my heart. So sometimes they're political, they tick me off, and sometimes they're happiness stuff, because I'm human, my life isn't perfect. I don't think that it is. I don't have everything figured out. So yeah.
That's been a big surprise for me too, because I had a tendency when I first was following people to really idealize them and idolize them, and I still do. I think a lot of the people I met are really incredible, fantastic people doing amazing work, But what a surprise to like get to know them a little better and find out that they're all humans too, and that the things that they're doing, as extraordinary as they are not actually as impossible as I once believed. That was a surprise, actually.
Yeah. No, it is, right? It is. It's interesting. I think now with the social media and the power of blogging and things like that, podcasting, I think that people are much more um, okay meeting their heroes, which is kind of weird to say, but I totally get that. I mean, because I think they are more, at least the ones that I gravitate towards are much more real than the others.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which is beautiful.
Yeah, there's a need for it,
Mhm.
to like live by example, maybe is the way I would put it.
Yeah.
It's like um And I get that, like, a lot of us are professionals of some stripe or another and making money at things, like there's always a commercial aspect to some of the
Sure.
people that I follow and their work and, selling books and, getting speaking engagements or whatever it is that, drives that. And, there's nothing wrong with making a living at these things either. But I think that when that's the only point is to
Yeah.
do that.
There's no alignment. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I've always appreciated the people that can both do something commercial and deliver something that's of value to the people. So I don't know. I'm still figuring things out. I started this podcast. I didn't even know what it would be about, or people kept asking, like, what's your podcast about? And I would just be like, I don't know. I'll let you know after I record a few, and we'll see. you know,
Yeah, for sure.
and then now it's starting to take shape as I've done more and more of these interviews over time. But what I'm finding is that I really am looking for people that are, like I said, using these technologies to create some kind of body of work that does like uplift people or help people in some way, and that was like a lot of the early days of the internet, was the excitement of that potential. So and I'm like, oh look, like people are actually doing it now, let's go see what they're up to. And I feel like what you're doing is part of that too.
Thank you. I think so. I certainly try to, right? I try to do good. That's my goal every day. Share a little kindness, be generous with myself and my time and my network and my resources. And then, yeah, be grateful for it all.
Why do you make so much stuff?
I don't know. If it hits me, I share it. I think it's valuable. I hope it's valuable, I guess. So I just put out there what I think about, and a lot of times I share it for me. I read it later. Like I'm stacked up. I've got articles that I've written that I didn't even remember that this week was the Buddhist article. Because it was in the queue. It was in the queue to be published.
Right.
So I think that when it comes out, a lot of times I like to joke, it's for me. Those articles are for me.
That's actually funny because I'm probably my own podcast's biggest listener. I listen to my own episodes over and over again, especially the guests, because I get so much out of them. So
yeah. So I think that's why I produce so much, Jackie.
Yeah, it struck me that you do produce a lot. Like you make a lot of different things. Do you have a favorite thing that you do, or?
Well, right now it's writing. I don't podcast anymore. My podcast is dead.
Okay.
So I don't do that anymore. And my my newsletter is just my Substack. And that's really the only place that I write, except for LinkedIn. I write on LinkedIn too. And I produce very lightly on Facebook. I write about pretty much the same stuff that I write about on Substack, except in a different format. So it's not like it's the same. It's the same but different.
Yeah, they're different audiences slightly.
Yeah, yeah, a little shorter, a little more punchy. So I try to pull out the good stuff and don't have maybe as many examples. I mean, my Substacks are typically about 1,000 words. So that's the typical length, between 750 and 1250. So 1,000 is right in the middle, and that's what I try to hit when I can, because I think that's substantive enough that I can explore a topic. Now, if I have examples from my life and I don't want to work them into science as far as how they worked, I'd probably write shorter. But right now, I'm trying to work everything in. I'm trying to make sure that I understand why it happened. So I'm looking for this. I'm looking for the research behind it.
Well, you said you've been looking at the happiness research, and reading all the articles and that sort of thing. So are you talking about like the sort of psychology content?
Yeah, the positive psychology, Martin Seligman, stuff like that. Yeah. Sonia Lubinovsky or whatever her name is, that wrote about, I think she wrote I can't remember which book she wrote off the top of my head. She's got a new one out though that looks really interesting that I might pick up, that I kind of riffed on based on what I've read about it. But yeah, I probably got to pick that book up. Yeah. So I just share what I read and what's on my heart.
Yeah, I do the same, but I'm a little more erratic about it, I guess. I careen all over the place. I don't have a central driving theme exactly. So
Yeah.
now maybe comedy, now that I've had that,
There you go.
connected those dots. I'm like, so why am I writing like 800 essays about hamsters on Substack? I don't really know what I'm doing. I just kind of do it, and then I don't know. I just go on a tear. I have a Substack by a fake dinosaur named George T. Rex that occasionally pops
Yeah.
up, and sometimes I get confused and accidentally post to the wrong one, and then it's like, yeah, I can't remember which one I'm logged into half the time, So I don't
That's
know. And just that, but yeah, I'm circling back to that thought from earlier about childlike versus childish, because I think a lot of what I do is very childish or childlike, I guess, is if we're going to use the substituted term. And I'm not sure what I'm pushing back on when I'm doing that. It feels like being a clown.
yeah. Yeah, but
So
don't worry about it. If you're having fun, that's what matters. Other
right.
people feel that. My mentor, one of my many mentors, Joe Hewer, used to tell me, if you're not having fun, nobody else is either. And if you're having fun, people will have fun. So I always
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. Like, I don't know. I can't remember what I was watching. And it was a band, and they were talking about how they have such a great show. And then they were like, well, we get to work with our friends every day. And I was like, kind of struck by that you know, just the attitude of,
yeah.
like, again, there's that gratitude thing again in
Mhm.
that, you know, being like aware of how lucky you are, I guess is the way to put it, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's a lot of what
So,
gratitude is, just paying attention to your world and being like, oh wow, I get to do that. Like I get to be a teacher. It's really hard. Don't misunderstand.
yeah,
It's really hard. And I love it. I get to be a teacher every day. It's really crazy. I get to influence 80 kids a day.
yeah, that's pretty crazy. My mom was a first grade teacher, and so I teach at San Jose State. I'm a writing teacher. I teach
Oh, cool.
write mostly online these days, and much smaller classes. I think I only had 15 this time around. And right now, I'm not back in the classroom yet. It's online, so the content is like predetermined, and they're basically teaching themselves. And I'm just kind of like a coach and a mentor, kind of like coming in and assigning
Teaching.
the grades. But yes, I do know how hard teaching is, because I was one years ago, about 20 years ago. I used to teach full time. I was an English professor, so.
Cool.
And I have to say, though, I've in preparation for that job, I taught at many different levels. I've taught elementary school and substituted high school and all of that. And I will say that college, at least, like the people in your classes are mostly adults, and they come in and they stay in their seats. And I
Yeah,
didn't know what to do first. Like, you're not all getting up and running around.
that's funny.
I don't know. I taught fourth grade one time, and it was a math class, which is even funnier because I have absolutely zero skill at math whatsoever. And the children would take the erasers out of the pencils.
Oh yeah.
None of the pencils had erasers.
Yep.
And I just was like, I don't know how to deal with this situation. I've never had to deal with that. I was used to teaching adults, so it was so perplexing. Get to the end of the day, and like all the erasers were just gone.
Yeah.
So
That's funny. I taught 2, 3, 4 for a little while. I taught preschool, and that was crazy too.
preschool, yeah,
That's
I
a
don't
different kind
know.
of art.
Preschool, yeah, preschool is different. Yeah, I used to teach theater to. It wasn't preschool. It was like second graders, I think they were. It was a summer thing, and it was just, I don't know. All the ages are so different from each other. It might
Oh
not
yeah.
be. Might as well be a completely different job.
Yep. Totally agree.
So yeah, but so you studied computer science originally, right? When you were in
Did I had a degree in
college.
computer science? That's right.
And did you like maintain the interest in it throughout then? I mean, we're not really. You're circling back to something that was an early.
Well, the teaching more than the computer science.
Oh, so the teaching is the interest.
Yeah, the teaching is the interest, not the computer science, actually, which is very weird because they hired me for my experience in computer science.
Sure.
So, because I teach for a tech school
Okay.
at the high school.
That's actually really interesting. So you would be open to teaching other things besides this?
Yeah, I'd teach business,
Mm-hmm.
sales, marketing. I'd teach that for sure.
That's funny. You know, so I I was a teacher, as I said, and I left it because I didn't think I wanted to be one. And now I'm back to it. And so it's so fascinating to me. Every other teacher I talk to is just so passionate about specifically about teaching. What do you
Yeah.
love about teaching?
Well, I love the light bulb moment. That's really fun when the kid finally gets it. I love that. I love to watch them think. I love the way that they share. They share a lot of good stuff. So I listen as much as I talk in my classes. I don't like to lecture. I'd rather listen
Mhm.
and kind of set them off on their own and then see what they create. So that's what I love.
So watching them kind of like have that aha moment.
Yeah, them get it. Yep.
Huh. I don't know, I'm trying to figure that out myself because obviously like, you know, I came back to it for more pragmatic reasons. I just needed to make money and I had experience and I was like, okay, I'll do this again. But I'm trying to understand where my disconnect is with teaching because I don't have that same passion for it exactly.
Mhm.
And it's not that I'm not good at it. I'm fine at it. Like I'm not, you know, doing a bad job because whatever I do, I try to do well at. But I don't have that same reaction, and I see it um, in my fellow teachers that like there's this driving need to do what they do, and I really admire it, but I don't understand it. So I'm a little fascinated that
Yeah.
it's such a trajectory to go through all these different things you've done and then
Yeah,
come
it's
to
like
the
totally
classroom.
yeah, it's like totally around the solar system and back to it.
Uh-huh. But you like it, so
I
that's
do.
great.
I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad you found your way there.
Me too. Me too. 29 years after dropping out of college to be a teacher, I'm back at it. So, yeah, it's never too late.
That is a message I believe in. You know, my grandmother went back to school in her 50s and got an accounting degree and became an accountant and just like started her whole career after her kids were
Cool.
grown, you know, and like so my people in my family have set that example repeatedly that like it's never too late and you can do, you know, my dad went back to school to study jazz guitar in his 70s, you know, like he was a computer software engineer and you know,
Cool.
he retired and he was like, finally I get to go study something that's not, you know, computers. So yeah, like I think a lot of people sort of, oh, it's too late for me, and it's never.
Never too late.
Yeah. That I like something that you said earlier too about that you try things and then if you like them, you do more of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. That's what I do
And
with teaching. It's a lot of fun that way.
yeah.
You know, and if I don't like it, then I don't do it again.
Yeah.
Keeps me spry.
I don't know. I think it's really amazing all the different like you know, I've never done big speaking gigs. I certainly know a lot of people that have worked in that. Um, but you have to have seen a lot of different places and
Oh, yeah.
things as part of that work, you know, that's more of
Yeah.
a traveling kind of thing. And then to come back to the classroom and stay in one place with the same group of people and like let something unfold over time, that's a really different experience.
Yeah. But every day is different. Every class is different. Nothing is the same.
Do you think the speaking experience helps with the teaching?
I think so. I think so because I'm really confident ad libbing. I'm really
Yeah.
confident,
Yeah.
kind of controlling the situation, controlling my volume is good. I
Mhm.
don't have to shout at them to get their attention. In fact, I talk pretty much the same as I'm talking to you, Jackie, about the same level, you know, and yeah. So I think that helps too. I think the fact that I can raise and lower my voice, I think the
Hmm.
fact that I know how to put together slides, I think helps too.
Yeah. I mean, there is a certain skill set in knowing how to like summarize important information and convey it cleanly to someone, and it's something that it's easy to take for granted. If you haven't done it a
Right.
lot, then you don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I could see how that would apply. But yeah, I don't know. We have a few minutes left. I'm out of ideas. Usually I'm like, full of all kinds of things, but today it's been quite a week.
Yeah. What a week. What'd you
Mm.
do?
What did I do this week? Let's see. Monday I got my cat neutered,
Oh boy.
and that actually went well. So he's good. He's like recovering and successfully, and that was quite a thing. And then I had my kids here Tuesday and Wednesday. So I have a 20-year-old and an almost 18-year-old, and they kind of took over my kitchen and cooked me dinner. And
Oh,
it was
that's nice.
such an amazing thing to come home and have someone feed you. Like I don't think I ever realized how big a deal that is. Like it's been a while since I was in a situation where,
Yeah.
anyone would feed me dinner or cooked for me, and I just thought like what a difference to come home and have somebody be like, here's your food. It's just
Yeah. I
like
bet.
super precious thing. But so they were here, and consequently none of us got much sleep this week, I think, between all the different things. So yeah, and then work. So I have a day job. I work at a plant nursery.
Oh, cool. That's fun.
Yeah, it really is. Like, and what's funny about it is that every single time I tell people what I do, they have that reaction. There's something about plants.
Yeah.
You
Well,
have
you're
plants.
taking
Well,
it in.
you have pineapples on your shirt. I was gonna say you have
Yeah.
plants on your shirt. Yeah, which pineapples is like a thing for me because of SpongeBob. But yeah, plant nursery. Like when I tell people that I work there, they always light up. It's just a thing. And like there's something really happy about plants and the people that work with them
Yeah.
too.
And
Like,
the earth.
hmm so yeah, but I don't work with the plants directly. I'm one of the people in the office that does spreadsheets and ordering and all kinds of back end tasks. So the people that are out in the houses with their clipboards and analog worlds are doing their thing, and like I handle all the data for them. So you
Cool.
know office person. But so this is actually related to how I got into podcasting, is because I work with spreadsheets all day. I listen to podcasts to like keep my mind busy while I'm doing these sort of menial data entry type tasks. And then at some point, I was like, I want to play too. Let's do this. So I
Awesome.
started my own.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, but that's where my interest in podcasting came from originally. So,
Very cool. Very cool.
but yeah.
Well, so what do you got for a closing thought, Jackie? Anything you want to say to wrap up the episode, and maybe I'll think of something too.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I think it's something to do with that slowing down. I think that's the thought that I'm most left with today is um, it's something I hadn't turned my attention to until all of these examples that you brought up, and the connection to like gratitude and what you were saying, gratitude and generosity. That I'll be interested to see that essay when you do write it. But something about slowing down and like making space for that, I think, um, as like a deliberate choice. Yeah. How about you? What would you come away with?
Well, I would say that for folks listening, to pick one thing that we talked about and do it. Maybe that's writing a letter to someone, handwriting a letter. Could be that. Could be
Or
starting.
making a face like a fish.
Yep.
Hmm.
Could be doing that. Absolutely. Could be slowing down to practice gratitude, daily gratitude thing. Could be. I would flip that and say at the end of the day, thinking about 3 good things that they could do as well, right? What are 3 things that happened that were good today? That would be something that they could do. And then another
Well,
thing,
yeah, let's do that. Tell me 3 things today that were good.
3 things that were good today. Well, 3 things. So 1, no traffic, either into work or out of work today. Really smooth sailing. So that's really good. I really enjoyed that.
Nice.
Let's see. Another good thing was I got coffee at the beginning of the day. That always makes me happy. And then I'm grateful that that it's in the 60s today. So that's
Oh,
really wonderful. So the weather, spring is almost here, I think, in Cincinnati.
where are you? Oh, you're in Ohio.
Yep, I'm in Cincinnati,
Yeah.
outside Cincinnati.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Those
What
are,
about you? 3 good
those are
things to
good
do.
things. 3 good things. Well, I mean, obviously, you showed up for a podcast interview. That's one of the amazing things that always makes me happy. Any
Yeah,
day I have a podcast interview is a happy day. And then the other 2, I guess just I did what I was supposed to do today, and I've been working on that. Like I've been working on being where I am supposed to be doing the things I'm supposed to be doing consciously, and I'm proud of that because I've been working really hard to do that. So like I showed up to work on time, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm happy about that. And then um, I'm happy that the people I work with are such kind people. Really like genuinely pleasant to be around, and like I look forward to being with them, you know?
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
a good
thank
thing.
you.
Sure.
Yeah, that exercise really works. The mood just went right up. So
Yeah.
all right, we'll end it there. Thank you so much for your time and for showing up today. And I'm so happy I finally got to meet you. This is actually the first time I've ever talked to you in person.
Yes, it
So that
is.
makes me
Yeah,
happy.
me
Thank
too.
you so much.
My
All
pleasure,
right.
Jackie.
And goodbye, lovely people. I'm going to end the recording part and then I'll say goodbye properly real quick. Do, 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 do. Stop recording. Bye bye.